The tutorial you've all been waiting for. Let's go make this precious quilt coat using a sweatshirt as a pattern. But first, always remember to share this so it will save to your profile and you can find it when you're looking for it again later. I folded my quilt in half, okay? So it's folded in half and folded in half. I have 2 layers. You can cut yours one at a time. Cut it any way you want to. And I laid my sweatshirt on top of it, just like this. Now, do you notice how I left this long? I'm gonna cut it long and then I'm gonna trim it up depending on the length that I want it because I'm just not really sure. And I can add to it later, but it will look better if it's all one piece. So we're gonna cut ours long and then trim it off if we need to. So all I'm gonna do now is literally cut out around the sweatshirt. Now I'm cutting mine generous. I'm gonna come here and cut up. This is the size sweatshirt that I wear. I'm gonna come here and cut up and go out. I can always trim it up, but like the bottom, I wanna make sure that I have the space that I want inside my coat because the sweatshirt, of course, is roomy because you normally have something on underneath it, but a coat, you probably have a couple of layers on and then the coat. So I wanna make sure my coat is big enough that I can wear it comfortably. So I'm gonna come out here and go down. Now, when I get to the underarms, I'm just curving mine and I'm gonna make my arms big intentionally. I can always come back and make them a little smaller if I want to. Okay, when it comes to cutting the neckline, I'm not cutting up and down. Mine is going to go straight out and down. That's so that we can attach this piece that's gonna come around if you decide that you want that. Okay, so this is what I have so far. I have 2 pieces that look like this. All right, I'm going to take one of these pieces and cut it straight up the middle because one will be the back, it'll be one solid piece, and one will be the front, so it'll be 2 pieces. So now I have a piece for the front, well, 2 pieces for the front. This is the front of my coat, and I have 1 piece for the back of my coat. You can sew this together just like this. And when you get to your shoulders, you can angle the front down and be done. That would be your entire quilt coat. I'm gonna add this collar to mine. And so when we cut our quilt coat out, we cut it out like this, right? So I'm gonna come right here and I want my collar to be about, I don't know, 5 inches. You can measure it, okay? You can measure it so you make sure that yours is the same all the way down. Some of my sewing students cut it like I do without measuring it and it got more narrow, but you can measure yours. And if you wanna measure it, just measure out, let's say 5 inches. 5 inches, mark, 5 inches, mark, 5 inches, mark, 5 inches, mark, and then draw a line. Now I'm going to just eyeball mine and I'm only cutting, this is still doubled up, but I'm just cutting 1 layer, but I'm cutting straight down. And then I'm gonna go at this angle, just like we cut out the sleeves. Now I know that I don't want mine any longer than the length of the sleeve. If your coat is going to be longer than that, then you'll just need to keep going down so that whenever you're finished, it will be the whole length of the front of your coat. I feel like this is as clear as mud, actually. And I'm usually very good at giving instructions, but I'm on the struggle bus. All right, so let me recap what we just did. I'm gonna lay part of it upside down so you can tell the difference. We folded our quilt over, and then we folded our quilt over again, or we folded our quilt over and did this same process 2 times. We laid our sweatshirt on top of it, we cut around the sweatshirt, roomy, because we can bring it in, but we can't give it any. Well, actually we can, but it's just not as pretty. After we did that, then we came here and we cut, this is straight because it's on the fold, we cut straight in and then we angled down with the sleeve all the way down. Now I know that I don't need mine any longer than the sleeve, but if your coat is gonna be long, then this piece will need to be longer than your sleeve. So you may wanna measure the length of your coat and you can make your coat before you even cut this to decide what you want. Now we have all of our pieces cut. Let's put it together and lay them down. You can do this separately or together. I'm doing mine at the same time, but obviously you do not have to. You're gonna take a pair of scissors, and I'll give y'all some measurements, and you're just gonna angle this up like that. You're just gonna angle it up because that's, well, either way, even if you're not doing the collar, you're still gonna need the angle because that's gonna come around, the collar's gonna come around and you'll need this angle. If it comes out and then straight down, it's not gonna lay pretty. So angle that up, and then we're gonna put our coat together. We're gonna take our back piece and lay it pretty side up. gonna take one front piece and lay it pretty side down. We're gonna line it up. I'm lining mine up at the underarms. We're gonna sew right here. And then we're gonna sew from right here where we angled it all the way down to the end of this sleeve. Straight stitch, 1/4 inch seam, back stitching when you start and when you stop. Easy, easy, I promise. I made one of these the other day and my niece said, Tam, that took you like 15 minutes. I said, I know, I told you it was super easy. Okay, I'm gonna get the 1/4 inch seam by following the edge of my presser with the edge of my fabric. I'm not gonna look at my needle, I'm only gonna look at my fabric and my presser foot. And I'm gonna back stitch when I start and when I stop because my grandma said so. Now, obviously, we turn it right side out and put one arm in it. So now we're gonna get our other sleeve and lay it pretty side down on top of our coat, this pretty side up. We're gonna sew it the same way. And then we're gonna adjust the neckline, the length, and the sleeves if we need to. When you lay it flat, you just wanna make sure that there's a smooth, that it comes in smoothly, that it doesn't come out and then back in because there's nowhere for your collar to make that point. So you just wanna make sure that it makes this really pretty round, like light bulb kind of shape. Okay, now here's our collar. Our collar was cut weird, remember? And I do need you to make sure when you're cutting it that you understand it is cut like this. This is the straight side, and then it goes down. And it goes down because there needs to be a curve in it, so that curve can come around on your coat. Now, I'm going to, well, I don't know. You can use either side. I think I'm gonna use, this is actually the inside of my coat, but I think I'm gonna use that as the front of my collar. So take your collar and lay it on your coat the way you want it to look, okay? This is how I want my collar to look. I'm gonna use this piece on the front. So I need to sew it together so that it folds over like that. So I'm gonna take my collar, fold it back towards me, and then put it next to my coat. I feel like that's clear as mud too, but I think you kind of get the point. So after you do that, fold it back open and make sure it looks like you want it to look, okay? Fold it back open and make sure that you have it the right way. And when you do, then you're gonna sew your collar. I'm gonna start at the center and go all the way down, and I'm gonna come back to this center and go all the way down, so that if my collar shifts at all, it won't be super offset. So I'm gonna start in this center, and I'm gonna sew all the way down to the end. Straight stitch, 1/4 inch seam, back stitching when I start and when I stop, because my grandma said so. Okay, now it's time to try it on again. Okay, is this not the cutest thing you've ever seen in your whole entire life? Now, if your sleeves are too long, chop them off. If your coat's too long, chop it off. If you don't like the collar, don't do it. I'm not doing anything to the inside seams, like nothing. I'm not doing a single thing. If I were doing anything, I may zigzag them, but I don't even plan to zigzag them. I'm going to add some bias tape to the ends of my sleeves and just around my collar and around the bottom after I cut it off. But that's all I'm doing to that too. I'm talking super easy, super simple. I can't wait to see the ones that you make. Okay, we've sewn our quilt coat. I decided to do nothing to any of the seams. I did not put bias tape. I didn't zigzag. I did not cut my sleeves off. I just rolled them up because the underside of my quilt is so pretty. I did cut out some pockets and sew those on. I sewed them on just like we sewed the ones for the other quilt coat, so you can look back at that tutorial if you don't remember, but I just straight stitched them. I'm also not putting binding on my collar, on my pockets, or on the bottom of my coat because I just like the raw edge. Now, it's super the rage right now. I realize it's probably trendy and a more cleaner kind of vision is gonna come in. And if I decide later that I don't like the raw edge, I can go back and zigzag it, add some bias tape, do anything I want to. But for now, I love it. And I can't wait to see the ones that you make. My name is Tammy. I'm your favorite sewing teacher, and I would love for you to come sew with me.